Bonjour, bonjour. Thank you for joining us this evening for Anishinabe Sober Voices here on WOJB. And joining me in the studios is two of my favorite people. Well, I should say, two of them, but unfortunately, my favorite person isn't here tonight. What happened to Mary Ellen?
She's on the road.
She's on the road again?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Steve and Tracy, you can suffice. That would be fine. And how's it going in your world? Wait a minute. You had a birthday of sorts, Steve. Tell me about this birthday you had.
I did. I had a birthday a couple of days ago. It was my 35th. I almost said to one person, I almost said my 35th wedding anniversary. And my one friend said, yeah, you were married for 10 years, and we were married for 10 years, and you were married for 15 years. No, it's my sober date.
Yeah.
I don't know if you wanted me to just continue to talk about that right now.
Well, yeah. Well, or I guess we could say hi to Tracy.
Tracy, yeah.
Yeah.
Hi.
Tracy. Okay, she said hi. Go ahead now. No.
Hit it, Steve.
Anyway, in the groups, I shared a few things about my walk on this red road, and I wanted to share it on this station. And I talked with Mary Ellen about it, and she said she thought that would be a good thing to do.
Yeah.
And because I've been in this program now, this program of sobriety process of sobriety for about 35 years now, over 35 years now, a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to kind of do is just kind of go through and kind of give people kind of a calendar of that anniversary, and the things I went through and the things I did and how I got into sobriety and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, I was raised in kind of a not poor, but lower middle class family.
Mm-hmm.
My dad had a good job, but there was a lot of discrimination, and so we always ended up living where minority people lived. And even though he worked at a university, he lived in the worst housing and all that. And I think back about that and think about how not only were people discriminated against by how much money they got paid, but where they lived and everything. This is back in the late 50s, early 60s. And that people sometimes think that, that the people that are discriminated against are, Black people and Latino people and Native American people. But we had a lot of Eastern European people. We had some Irish people that I became really good friends with. So I felt really blessed. I had Middle Eastern people that I was raised with. I felt really blessed because the whole world, back at that time I was young, the whole world was going around me, and I couldn't understand why people were so discriminatory. And because all these people I dealt with, all those different colors and nationalities and stuff, were cool people. I lived next to them and played with them and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Never could kind of figure that out, but as I grew older, I found out that alcohol and drugs don't discriminate. You can really be any of those four colors on that medicine wheel. That you can be any of those four colors, white, yellow, red, or black, or a combination of those colors, and still be discriminated against. And while there's been strides with the rights of people and things and stuff, there's still today are a lot of things that still need attended to, that I think the dominant society doesn't look at it in terms of discrimination.
Hmm.
Because I still see it out there. I still hear young people tell me about it, and all that. And so while things have progressed a little bit, there's there's still a lot of discrimination out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, that's kind of how I was raised.
And what era was this?
It would have been in
happening
like in the '60s.
then? Okay.
Okay, and of course that's when that's when our country became liberalized. You might say they became more liberal,
Mm-hmm.
and but there was still a lot of discrimination. It wasn't until that time that the equal rights amendments to the Constitution and some of the other things took place, and so that was kind of a good time to be a minority, but it's still taken a long time to get to that point.
Yeah.
And like I said, to kind of segue, drugs and alcohol knew no boundaries. And I always remember back when I think I was in high school. Yeah, in high school, and my we had the centennial, the 100th anniversary of the town we lived in.
Oh, okay.
And our family had been there for a long time in Michigan. And I remember how proud our family was that 4 generations of our family
Mm.
were in that bicentennial, and I was kind of proud too.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I was proud, and used to tell people about how I was proud to be from that town and stuff, until later on I looked back in that book, and it was like the centennial booklet, and all 4 generations, the photographs of all 4 generations, we were in bars, and we all had like a beer sitting in front of us,
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And my great grandmother and grandfather lived above that bar, and he worked that bar, and she cooked, and my grandfather in his 80s finally quit drinking. I don't think my great grandfather ever quit drinking. And my father died. My father died an alcoholic.
Mm.
It was hard to watch. He was a heavy smoker and drinker. And, he had liver issues, but he also had lung cancer. Ended up having one of his lungs taken out. And ended up smoking and drinking till the day he died. I mean, he was with half a lung on an oxygen machine, smoking out the window of the bedroom, and always had a beer or so hid somewhere, to get himself through the day. And I know my mom felt really, really bad about that, but I wasn't much better. When I got out of high school, I started and went to college for 1 semester before I got my draft notice. And I drank after I got out of high school. I drank like all the time, even more. And always party time. As soon as we had that like graduation party, I would drink. The one thing I will say is that I never drank on the job. I mean, I never drank on the job. I never drank when I was working. And that's one of the things my dad never do either. But I'll tell you, when that whistle blew at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I was ready,
Mm-hmm.
And lots of times I would drink and I would go home or wherever, and I'd pass out. You can only do that for so many years. And so I did that. And then when I went in the military, that was like, I started smoking, and I never smoked before because I was involved in sports and stuff. But I smoked a few cigarettes, but I didn't smoke every day.
Yeah.
But like when I graduated from high school, it kind of opened up that door for me to really, really start drinking.
Mm-hmm.
and really smoking weed and other things too, And so I just wasn't a good person. Um, in my early working days and probably in my early life, uh, after I had my military stint, of course, that was nothing, and I never drank on duty there either. But boy, when I got off, I did, and I was on something that really didn't help me a lot, but it wasn't the military's fault. And I was on a lot of shifts, like 1680 on 16 and off 80.
Mm.
Uh, and I worked in supply in a warehouse and worked for a helicopter squadron. And but man, when I was out, and all my buds too, all my, my people,
Mm-hmm.
and overseas it was the same way, and more so in Vietnam, there was a lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol.
Yeah.
I want to tell you, that's what those people used to mask a lot of things that happened over there.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of us, had and still have post-traumatic stress disorder.
Mm-hmm.
But I was not a good person because people, when I got out of the military and I went back out into the working world, you might say, people used to call me the Iceman. And people that know me today have a hard time believing it, but people said that it was like ice was flowing in my veins and not blood.
Mm.
And if anybody would say something against me or try to get promoted over me or any one of those things, I'd find a way to shut them down.
Mm.
I was a terrible person. I can't blame that all on alcohol and drugs. There's some psychosocial things that are in there too, but my thought processes weren't really clear.
Sure.
With drugs and alcohol, you're not thinking straight. And so I did terrible things to people that I worked with, even some of my friends, and all that. And as part of this sobriety process, on the front end, I tried to make amends. I tried to go back to those people and apologize, and it took me a while, to go from this person who has ice water running through his veins to somebody who's back trying to be a human being.
Yeah.
So things happen, and I got drunk, but I never did, like I said, drink when I went to work. But we all know today that that alcohol had some bearing on my way of coping in life.
Sure.
Just because I didn't drink on the job didn't mean I wasn't an alcoholic.
Right. Yeah.
I would drive. I would get a 6-pack on the way home, and then worry that I might run out. And so when I got down to about 3 beers or so, I'd run back to the store and get another 6-pack. Worrying that I was going to run out of beer. I did that, and I did that, and I did that, and I did that. And then I would go out with the guys, and I, would drink all the time, and whenever I could drink.
Mm-hmm.
Or I think it was a Friday night, my best friend and I and some buddies, we went out drinking. And it got so bad that most people called a shot in a beer would be like a shot of whiskey, a regular shot glass full of whiskey, and a glass of beer. And we were to the point to where we said, no, that's not good enough. So we would drink an 8-ounce glass of whiskey, shoot it down.
Mm.
Then we would chase it with a pitcher of beer.
Mm.
Okay. And I'm a little guy,
Yeah. Yeah.
but my resistance, I think, got built up somewhat over the years, and we used to do that. Well, we were all sitting around that table, and we were joking around and stuff. And I want to blame the bar a little bit because we were
Mhm.
do that, but still, it was us. We ordered them. We did it to ourselves.
Right.
We can't blame those people for what happened. So we were drinking a few of those, and you get to the point I don't even remember anything.
Mhm.
Well, my best friend, my best friend stood up, and I don't know why, and I stood up, and he said something to me, and uh, I grabbed. That's when those pitchers back in those days, those pitchers were made of glass.
Yeah.
Okay, I picked up that pitcher, and I swung it, and I hit him right against the jaw and the side of his head, and he went down.
Mm.
Back in those days, in a small town, when you did stuff, you didn't people didn't automatically call the cops or something. And so we got him to the hospital. We called my mom, called his mom. I had broken my best friend's jaw. I had knocked out my best friend's teeth.
Mm.
I had knocked my best friend out and made him have a concussion. And I just said, wow. And then the doctor comes in and he said, you could have killed him.
Yeah.
And that was like a real dose of reality. I think that was the key to me to say, hey, you got to stop doing this. You got to stop drinking. You got to stop being a crazy man like this. You got to just stop doing it. You got to stop doing it. And so I checked on him and stuff, and he ended up getting better. He ended up still being my best friend.
Mm.
And a couple of days later, my ex-brother-in-law from a Menominee tribe, he came over and told me that I was going to take a ride with him, that I was going to call the school and tell them that I needed to be off for a week or so, and that he was going to take me over into Wisconsin, which is ironic. I ended up back over here in Wisconsin. But he brought me over, and he had been in the program for 10 years at that time. And he's younger than I am.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that means he has 45 years in sobriety. Well, he brought me over, and the first thing he did was the next day was get me to an AA meeting, and then another meeting, and then another meeting. And just for like a week, all we did was go to meetings, drank a lot of coffee.
Yeah.
He was there for me, and he was my first sponsor, And after a while, I came back over, and I found a group that had people in it like me. And there was an attorney and a superintendent of schools and another teacher and some other people like that. And so I started going to AA. And so I went to AA for a few years. And I did want to say something historically about what some people call the Scarlet Letter. There's an old story about a Scarlet Letter, but that A in Scarlet Letter for the woman who was in that epic writing was the A that she wore was for adultery.
Mm.
Okay, and I'll always remember the A for alcoholism, that Scarlet Letter that people wore, because back in those days, people didn't look at alcohol and drug abuse like they do today. You know, they didn't even look at it as a disease. All they knew is if you were at City Hall on Monday night at 7 o'clock, and if you were parked out front, because that's the only place you could park, that you were an alcoholic. So you couldn't hide from it, if people knew what your car was.
Yeah.
You couldn't hide from it. A lot of people didn't go to meetings. A lot of people didn't want to have that stigma.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people these days that still don't want to have that stigma,
Right. Yeah.
Even though there's 100 million programs out there, you got to make a decision yourself to want to quit. And I wanted to throw in that stigma piece because it followed up until recent years.
Mm-hmm.
You're at City Hall, and we're talking about over 20 years it worked that way.
Sure.
Then I met.
So now let me go back a little bit.
Sure.
When you started your meetings, you started going to AE meetings. Were you
Yes.
dry at that point, or were you still sneaking a snip?
No, I didn't. I think it really affected me that I almost killed my best friend.
Sure.
And I'd seen a lot of people killed in war.
Yeah.
And they weren't my best friends, but they were my friends. And to think that I had done that to him, and he's still a friend of mine today.
Mm.
And he, like I said earlier, he quit too.
Yeah.
But I've watched a lot of those people that didn't quit, that were in my groups, that died. And they didn't die from getting killed by somebody. They died of alcoholism, and drug addiction. Yeah. And so I think it would have been 20 years ago. Let's see, it's 2023, 2003. Yeah, a little over 20 years ago, I met a man from Grand Rapids who was from the Saginaw Chippewa Indian tribe and one of my best friends from there. And he started meetings there with the pipe, with the feather, using tobacco, and following Native American traditions.
Yeah.
And he kind of brought me under his wing, and taught me a lot of things. And so did a lot of other people. My sponsor, my spiritual leader, other elders and younger people who had gotten into sobriety way, way, way before I did, and supported me. And we started a group there, and the group is still going today, I think. I haven't been over there for a few years, but it was when I left. And that's kind of, I got involved in more things like that. We started a couple groups at a couple tribes, and I've been doing that for over 20 years. So then what happened is I came over to LCO and had to take a little bit of a hiatus from doing meetings weekly because of the person I was with. And once that relationship failed, I wanted to get back doing some things. And I was at Paul DeMain's old store over there, and I had an office in the basement over there. And people over there knew that I had been involved in, sober activities over in Michigan, and they asked me if I would. One of the people from the community asked me if I would host an NA meeting. I said, wow, because I just don't think people understand when you don't have that in your life, you don't have that outlet or whatever. And for a couple, 3 years, I didn't. How much it felt so good to be back in it again. I just can't say enough about how emotional it was for me to do that meeting, So in that meeting were a couple other tribal people, and they said, we want to do some groups here at LCO. And I said, cool, I'll help if I can, Said
Yeah.
everything I do is
Mhm.
volunteer. I don't get paid to do nothing. I don't care to be compensated. And that those groups are there for me too.
Yeah. Hmm.
They're not just for other people. They're here for me. And it means as much to me to participate in those groups as it is to facilitate things. So as it is, um, the three of us put together sober visions along with some women and other people in the community, and we started Sober Visions, and that was over 2 years ago.
Wow.
And we had meetings. For a while, we had meetings in the basement of the free store, and then once some of the places moved out and such, they uh, couldn't facilitate us there anymore, and so we went over to the Kineman School, and the director over there, she's just a wonderful person, and she helped us kind of plug the hole. And but we still, to this day now, don't have a place. We could go over there probably if we wanted to, but we still don't have a place that's supported by the community where we can go and have our meetings.
Yeah.
Well, another thing that happened too was COVID.
Hmm.
And so we couldn't have our meetings. But then after COVID got over with, there didn't seem a real interest by the community to find a place for us. And I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just saying it's a reality. We tried, many members tried, and we've tried without a lot of support. And so right now, uh, most of the AODA programs that are done, what I call community AODA programs, are done over Zoom.
Hmm.
Well, Tracy and I kind of talked about things, and we kind of wanted to take a little different uh, stance and a different process and a different way of going about doing some things and focusing more on some traditional pieces. So a couple of months ago or a month ago,
For a month.
maybe, we decided to start. We decided to start something called Anishinabe Nuji. And Nuji the word means healing. And so Tracy and I put our heads together and we decided what we were going to do. And so what we do now is on Wednesday and Thursday. On Wednesdays, we have on Wednesdays we have a well-variety meeting, which is focused off of the White Bison program.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
we have also uh, created some more traditional things that we do, and they're talking circles. And on Thursday we have a community talking circle. Maybe you might want to talk about that a little bit, Tracy, and then later on I can talk about talking circles and how they work.
Hmm. Sure.
Right?
We're just, quick before Tracy, I just want to reintroduce our listeners on the radio that you're listening to Anishinaabe Sober Voices. And we are a community that is here to help support the LCO community and the sober community with information and activities and places to meet and, well variety meetings and talking circles, as you said, Steve. And that's really what this has been about. I want to ask you real quick, though. Could you imagine yourself where you are at today 10 years ago, 20 years ago? Could you just even fathom that this is the place you'd be right now?
No,
Isn't that
not at all.
crazy? I know.
Not at all.
It's crazy. Well, yeah, Tracy, you've been sitting here so patiently listening, and what do you have to share about about your meetings?
I'll introduce myself
Yeah.
first. Buju wase gijibuke and Dishnakaz magazine and Dudem, Odawaza, Zigning and Dunjaba. I guess, yeah, we talked with Steve here, and so our AA meeting is pretty much following Noel Bridie. And the meeting on Thursday nights is just an open talking circle for anybody. You don't have to be in addiction or anything because we're all going through things right now. And it's a safe place to come and talk and
Just talk about life.
yeah.
life,
anything you want to talk about, it's open to talk about anything. Because maybe that just talking or if you come in, you don't have to talk, you can just listen too.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to talk, you can pass. And it's just and even just people that just listen sometimes, like a lot of the new ones, they'll just listen for a while before they start joining us in our talks. And some people come right in and join and start talking. It gets pretty deep at times, and we're really focused on healing the core, so some things, sometimes we cry, sometimes we laugh, we do it all. And we're just like a supportive system for anybody, really, whether you're going through emotional things or, I don't like the word mental health, but
Yeah.
Or depression and things, and just a safe place for them to talk. And that group is growing so big. We've got a few different reses. We got Flambeau, Bad River, LCO. There's also some people from Toma that join in, some people from Green Bay that join in.
Yeah.
And people just from town. And for any of our meetings, you don't have to be native. Some people think that you have to be native to join even our AA. It's open for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's a big support system for like some people too. Like he was talking, some of the people are having health issues due to their using, or a lot of people. And so sometimes they talk about what they're going through there, or it's just a place where you can come and be supported and encouraged. And so,
and now the meetings you're talking about, these are all on Zoom, or do you have some in person, or is there a mixture of it? It's
so far all of our meetings have been on Zoom.
Yeah.
And maybe this summer when it's nice out, we can make a campfire and meet around the campfire.
Right. Yeah.
But until then, it's probably going to be on Zoom. And like he said, there's places that will open the door, but because we have so many people, we go over our hour, and that's the problem.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have so many that join in. And when you got 25 people, it's hard to get people to talk within an hour limit.
Yeah.
Especially when you got Steve.
Yeah.
No.
Unless you're on Zoom, you could do that on Zoom, because we don't have really any.
Because I was going to ask, do you lose some of that openness to talk, or is it more open to talk because you're not in the same room together and you don't have that distraction of people in the room? Plus, I'm assuming some people can, they turn off their camera so they're not being seen all the time. It seems like something to be counterintuitive or counterproductive if you're not all in the same room around in a circle like a typical, AA meeting would have been like. Now we've kind of gotten used to Zoom and what it does. But maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah. I know there have been a couple people in the community have come to us about possibly creating a space for us, you know. And I think that's wonderful, you know. But for right now, we're not going to stop doing it just because we don't have a space. We never have stopped doing it because we don't have a space.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important to have that there. I know myself. I like the having the people, and the way we did it before is we would have people around the table,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd run a Zoom meeting. So we had all the people out there and the people at the table.
Yeah.
So we did it both ways, you know. Um, I know some people like that. The whole thing about this whole laundry list of programs and things that there are in the community. One of the things you always hear me say is that there's not enough meetings,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And maybe if you create a meeting that meets a certain bunch of people's needs, the more different scenarios you have, and the more different choices that people have, the more opportunity.
Right.
The more opportunity that you will have to provide a place for people to come and to people to talk.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because some people have jobs, they have other family situations where they can't attend all the meetings, which is, that's not the expectation. What it is to provide multiple opportunities, so at least you could attend one or two, but you don't have to attend all 6 or 8 of them.
Right. Yeah. And I forgot to introduce myself. Bonjour, makarimi wanda giznakas, makanakadorum, wakanakasingodawa. But there was a word I was thinking of, and there's a word I was thinking of, and I've had to use this word a lot over the last year. I'm not a young dude, you know.
What?
I mean, I act young, but I'm not a young dude, you know. And the word I'm thinking of is purpose, you know. And you asked me that question earlier about did I really think that I would ever
Yeah.
be where I am today, you know, doing this.
Yeah.
And I think everyone has to have a purpose. And I think that I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I think Tracy's supposed to be what she's doing. I mean, I can't say that for her, but I think she said that, you know, and we don't get compensated for doing any of this stuff. And that's why I always try to teach the younger people, it's not all about money, you know. I wish I could remember the quote that Muhammad Ali had about serving the community. I can't think of what it is, but that we all really owe the community a little bit of something, you know, to give back. Oh, I know, to give back for our rented space on Earth.
Yeah.
That we need to give back to the community for our rented space on Earth. Mm-hmm. And I've always respected Muhammad Ali for coming up with that. And purpose is a big thing, and we've been doing this for going on over 2 years now, you know, for nothing. It hasn't cost the community one penny. We haven't asked the community for any money, you know, and don't expect to have any, you know. It'd be nice if somebody would come up with a little space for us, you know, so we could have meetings in face to face. But if they don't, we're going to continue to do these things, and we're going to continue to recommend that people, you know, participate in the meetings and get more people to meet. And I think we're just keep picking up more people. But one of the things that we do, and that we didn't do on Zoom for a while, unless we were in person, is when we do the talking circles now, we do the talking circles where some tobacco is put in a little bowl, and we have our pipes, and we mix that tobacco up in there in that bowl, so that when we put them in our pipes, that tobacco represents all the people that are out there in the meeting.
Yeah.
And it represents their prayers and their wishes and things, okay? We smudge I call it a virtual smudge. Say, okay, everybody, we're going to smudge, and I'll do the smudge. And I keep the smudge going during the meeting,
Yeah.
And
at times we've made prayer ties and prayer flags.
Yeah.
Mm.
Tracy's had sweats.
Had sweats.
Yeah, it's just there's lots of things that could be done, and we've been talking about sober activities, like things like going to round dances and going to powwows.
When we did have a place, we did a lot of crafts, poetry, and
Mhm.
and a lot of things to keep us busy and keep us together as a support system, which helped a lot of people. And since that stopped, when it first stopped, we seen some people in the group relapsing and things like that. And it just keeps the group stronger when we can get together more.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And busy hands.
Even when there's not
Busy,
not meetings, and
just get together.
Crafts,
Yeah.
writing, whatever we're doing.
Go to Perkins and have some coffee and
Socialize.
sit around. Yeah.
We've had a lot of cookouts.
Yeah.
We make Steve cook up the steaks
Oh
for
yeah,
us.
yeah. I'd make them make.
They make
steaks,
me go cook up the steaks. They said, we're going to have a cookout, but you got to get steaks.
Uh-huh.
We don't want no spaghetti or
Don't forget the
anything like
A1.
Yeah.
No.
Venison steaks, right? Yeah, venison steaks.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so anyways, that's just what we're trying to do. And there are other programs in the community, and we try to support them as best we can. But that's kind of the focus that we're taking. We want to be more traditional and do some more traditional things.
Mhm.
And the talking circle is a way to doing it. And one thing about the talking circle is there's no head table at the talking circle.
Yeah.
Everybody around that circle is equal.
Yeah.
And that's part of the teachings of the Anishinabe. And then passing around that talking stick or that talking feather, whatever it is. When those people have that in their hand and they're talking, they're the only ones that are supposed to be talking.
Right.
And so it's a respect issue.
So
And it's,
now, wait a minute. How do you pass that around to the next Zoom person?
we just
Mute everybody else
we call their name.
Oh, okay.
and mute
Yeah.
everybody else so
Yeah.
nobody else can talk.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I have the feather sitting there, or
Yeah.
Tracy has
Right.
something there, or fan.
There's
or
just a
whatever.
lot of logistics that you have to work around in a Zoom.
Yeah, I
here,
know.
really.
But it's been working out quite well, and I just know that those grandfathers like respect. That's something that's very important in the meetings, to show respect for other people, for their time, for what they have to say. Some of the things that we try to encourage is people not to laugh at people,
Mhm. Yeah.
people not to make fun of people to not have gestures if people, or say things to people who don't feel like they want to talk, they want
Yeah.
to listen.
Right.
Because we always say to them, well, you don't have to talk, you can listen, and I think that's very important too. And just the fact that especially with our Zoom meetings, we don't have a clock there.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's ticking away. We do have to move on, so that everybody gets a chance to do that.
Right.
And one of the things that Tracy suggested some time ago, and I've agreed all along, is we need to get more people that know how to host Zoom meetings in the community.
Mm.
And we had one last night that filled in for Sober Voices, and I think there's one tonight that's also doing that. And I've had times when either I or Tracy can't
Sure.
do the
Right.
meetings, and we have
Initiate the
somebody else.
meeting and get it logged in and stuff, which
Yeah.
isn't really hard. It's pretty simple process, and it's easy to teach somebody.
But see,
to
people
say,
get all
host. Yeah.
freaked about that. I mean,
Well,
some of them are freaked about just going on Zoom and
Yeah.
even talking, and so
Yeah.
it takes time. And like Tracy said last week, she said, just get on here, and you don't need to talk. Just listen,
Mm.
and you can see that it's really not that difficult to do it, and the technology is there. And
Yeah.
I think it's important if we can't do it the traditional way, click, click,
Mm-hmm.
that we can do it, this way. At least we got a place for there, because there's people that depend on it.
Oh yeah.
There's people that as Tracy indicated, that have become part of this family,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of the way we put it about. It's a family, okay, where they call not just during a meeting, or they talk not just in a meeting, but say I'm having a real bad day, I want to talk. And Tracy does that for tons of women in the community all the
I
time.
get a lot of good mornings.
Yeah.
We say good morning every day. Wish each other
Mm-hmm.
have a blessed day.
Yeah. And so it's just important for people to have that, to know they have some place they can go to contact. Some people don't want to deal with the government. They don't want to deal
Right.
with clinics and other things like that. That's why it's so wonderful to have all these different things out there, because then people have choices.
Right.
And we support those other programs at the
Oh
clinic.
yeah, the clinics are important.
Yeah.
The psychologists are important because they have a certain service that they can provide
Definitely.
that your talking circle can't.
Yep.
But then on the same side, your talking circle probably does more for somebody than what a psychologist could do in years of counseling.
And some of them
Not
have had
to-
some bad experiences.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Vajiki has a lot of programs, and I think you can tell by being on this program before we try to, coordinate our activities, or not coordinate, but we try to let each other know what's going on.
Right. Yeah.
And
We've had Bajiki representatives here on the program, and
Yeah.
they know about you guys, and they share your what's going on in your groups.
Yeah.
So just by the way, Mary Ellen's saying hi, so wave to Mary Ellen.
Hi, Mary Ellen.
Hi, Mary
Miss you.
hope we're doing okay.
Anyways, here's a comment too. Maybe make some posters and get this out into the community and invite people. I'm not sure what budget you might have for printed materials, and how well does that get received if we had a poster sitting out by the LCO Country Store in their entryway. Does that get seen? What's the best
It's a
way
good
to
idea.
let people know about this?
That's a really good idea.
At the C store on one of
Yeah.
their walls. And do they allow those things? And is that something we could do? And it's harder, I know, because you're looking at a larger community than just LCO.
Right.
So how do you get that out to Bad River and Lac du Flambeau
Well,
and the other ones?
I'm glad you asked that.
Yeah.
We have a Facebook page.
A what?
A Facebook page.
What's that?
That's a page on Facebook.
With your face on it, yes.
Anyways, we have a
Social
group.
media, yes.
Yeah, we have a group a page called Anishinabe Nuji, and we also have a chat called Nuji Chat.
Nuji chat.
Yeah, and tomorrow
Nothing with Ted Nugent.
nothing with
just
Nuji.
Nuji.
And
Sorry.
and so we post on there, and then I have a nephew over at Lac du Flambeau who's works
He's watching.
in the program, and he's been really good in putting the word out too. So the whole idea is that we have people that are part of our group from those places,
Mm-hmm.
and they put the word out for the group.
Yeah.
So we keep them informed, and then we also remind people that are in the group. We ask them to join Anishinabe Nuji and to go on Nuji Chat, so they can keep up to date on when our meetings are going to be, and then they can just cut and paste our notice and send it out to people all over the place.
Sure. Yeah. Spread it in their circles.
Yeah.
And again, I know old school printed posters. There's a lot of them around. We do them. We still do them here for WOJB in our concerts and stuff. But I'm not sure how much of that is really seen versus a virtual post. Again, in our social media circles, whether
Right.
it be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, there's so much out there, and people are so reliant on these little mobile things they carry in their hand.
Right. I know.
That's just the way they get that information.
I think how it grew so much is because people come in and they like it, so they tell their friends, and then their friends come in and they tell their friends, and
Yeah.
Right.
so it just keeps on adding more people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, word
Yeah.
of mouth is the
Right.
best advertising.
But something you kind of might want to look at doing is boosting a post. Pretty inexpensive. And
Yeah.
then it gets to people outside of your circle
Yeah.
that are in the geographical areas or however you want to mix that up. So it's just some ideas to
Yeah, that's great. I love the
help
idea of
with
a
that.
poster, though. Wouldn't be much to do it. We already have artwork already.
Yeah. So now you've been putting this what's this book that you're putting
Okay, I
together?
put together this little book, and Tracy reviewed it. And what it is it's a whole bunch of things that can be given out to people. Like I talked with Bajiki, that can be given out to people about what our strategy is.
Mm-hmm.
Things like, for instance, how does the talking circle work? They can read about that. They can read about what is a sober support system. Okay, what are some sober living activities? How do I find friends in recovery?
Yeah,
Um,
that's a big thing because I even see a lot of people who are trying to do recovery on their own, and I see their social media posts about feeling alone and not be having that support system, and it's like I just can't imagine how that still exists when there's in the past 2 years just to hear at LCO alone, this support community has just blossomed in the past 6 months, 8 months. It started 2 years ago, like you said, with
right.
what we've been doing here at the radio station and your different groups, and just to see it grow, there's really no excuse not to have someone there to support you because I know the community
Yeah.
is there for these people.
And I know that Mary Ellen Baker's been instrumental in helping uh, get all these things going, and
Yeah.
helping us, advising us, and doing some other things. And uh, I know that she's listening, and I just wanted to make sure that she didn't think that we were forgetting about her either, because we all love her, and we love what she does, and I love her family. And
Mm-hmm.
the other thing is encouraging people to ask for help when they feel vulnerable, and and things like, what do I do after I get out of rehab? I mean, these are just little suggestions. They're not like a book that you have to go by. And they're
Right.
just little suggestions for people. Just things like being involved in keeping your time. Keeping your time used and your time productive. Like, volunteer for something, take a course at the college, um, spend some time with your family, read more, um, just a lot of things like that. They're all in this little booklet we put together, and there aren't all the answers in there. They're just suggestions, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people just need a little bit of a roadmap, and if they can use these supplemental materials
Yeah.
to have a roadmap, then
Just
that's what
get-
we're there to help, because we're there to help people.
Just to get started.
Yeah, we're there to help people,
Hey, what's that?
and uh, just that's kind of why this was put together, is so that so that people have some information they can read. Not that there's not a ton of information out there,
Yeah.
right, but just some more, and it's localized, and there's people behind the program, and all that. So I think it's important that people know about all these resources, and we try to share other resources as well as what we provide,
Mm-hmm.
because like I said, there's a menu out there, and there's tons of programs, and there's not enough programs. No matter what people say, there are not enough programs, and we not only want to serve people here, but we want to serve people out there, and that's kind of how our how we expanded our activity in our area, is that we have other people from other places that want the same thing, and we want to be able to provide those things to them, and let them know what's here, but also I've gone out to a couple places and even worked with them to set up their own programs right there where they are.
Sure.
And so I just want to repeat again,
Steve.
Tracy and I.
Is that your daughter again, wanting to get in?
Tracy and I just want everybody to know
She told me
that
she could call in tonight again.
Yeah.
Tracy and I just wanted everybody to know that we're here to help.
Yeah.
I know Mary Ellen's out there to help. Hi, Mary Ellen.
Hi, Chick.
And that we just want to help the community the best we can.
Sure. Well, I'm putting up some numbers, and we'll let people know here at the radio audience. If they want to get a hold of you, Steve, we're going to publicly put your number out there.
Okay.
231-357-6191. You didn't change your number yet.
No, I didn't.
Okay, good. 231-357-6191. And for Mary Ellen, no matter where she's at, she has her phone, 715. Well, this is her house number, I think. 715.
I have another alternative number.
An alternative. 634-5806, but yeah, probably not want to call there now because we'll wake Eunice up.
That's his alternative number.
Oh. All right, then you can call Mary Ellen or Eunice at 715-634-5806.
Love you, Eunice.
Well, any final words before we end our hour of discussion here from either of you?
I just want to say for people to just keep coming back
Mm-hmm.
and encouraging their friends to come back or to participate, and just keep coming back. I think you'll find that if you have a little something out there for you, then it's available, and that we'd like to have you participate.
Yeah. People, I'm just showing your Facebook page now. It's showing as private, but you'll let people in if they sign up, and they just have to hit the button that says, what does that say? Now I gotta find it again. It's down here in the corner somewhere. About this group, history, see all. I think it just says join.
Yeah, it's Nuji Chat, or if you want to participate in Anishinabe Nuji Mawewen, the group, then you can become a member of that group too.
I clicked the join now button on there. So
okay.
It's not, but yeah.
But I turned my phone off, so it won't bother anything. So.
Oh, you turned your phone off. Okay.
But that's, I would just encourage people to do that,
Sure. Tracy, any thoughts from you as far as meetings go, or get-togethers, or do you have anything special that you do for women only?
For women only, I haven't, but we have talked about doing things. I just gotta find a place because my place is too small.
Yeah.
But when summer comes, we'll probably will.
Yeah, have it outside.
But I don't like to exclude the men either, but Steve can go do something with them while I'm doing something with the women.
Yep.
And
yep, the different there's different issues for the different sexes, and there's how they handle life's difficulties and problems, and some of the problems could be somebody of the opposite sex. So it's just hard to have those people in the room or in the circle, and you're trying to talk about
and also I have a teenage daughter at home that we all know, and so we might start something working with them too.
Okay.
Because she wants something too, and her friends are.
We gotta get the young people involved. Well,
thanks,
very
Mark.
cool. Well, thank you two for coming in and sharing, and we will make sure that Mary Ellen joins us next time here on Anishinaabe Sober Voices here on WOJB. Coming up next now is Drum Song with Thomas Kane. Okay, we're clear. Okay, Tom Kane, we're waiting for you.
That was my sister.